The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is The Angry Chicken.
Welcome back, everyone. This is The Angry Chicken. I'm Garrett Weinzorl. He's Willie Dills Gregory. She's Jocelyn Moffat. And we're here to talk all about Hearthstone. Specifically today, we're focusing on the Kabal from Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. At least the Kabal we know about so far. But before we get to that, how you guys doing this week? How's Hearthstone treating you?
Not too shabby.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I did a lot more Tavern Brawls, more than I probably should have done.
Start spending real money?
A lot of fun.
Were they money mistakes or were they gold mistakes?
No. I mean, I was streaming and people were donating to have me do it again. So, but it was, I did a lot of them. And so I got a lot of cards. I got some new golden legendaries, some new golden whatevers. But
wait, you got golden legendaries?
not from doing 11
Oh,
or whatever,
I was like,
but
you
just from
mean
the
you
packs.
got 12 wins? Like, dude, lead with
No.
that.
From the packs, yeah. I think the highest I got was 7. I was playing some weird decks and stuff, but that's just because it's more fun, than just spamming mid-range shaman. But, I mean, I really enjoyed it. It makes you want to just press that button again. But like we said on the last show, I wish there was a version of this that was here forever that was a smaller amount.
Yeah.
So you could use it not like, because it still would act as a gold sink. And a way to kind of spam my gold and turn it into cards, right? In a way that's different than just buying packs. Because I really enjoy like playing for packs, right? I really enjoy that idea. So yeah, if this was like 200, 250, something like that, the amount of packs was way less. Oh man, I'd be doing this all the time.
Yeah, we already compared it to Arena like crazy. How cheap does it get before it just becomes way too? It literally is just Arena but constructed.
But even if it was that, wouldn't that just be okay? Like,
I think
because a lot of people just don't want to play Arena because they don't want to do the deck building. They just want to play a deck they have, but they want to do it off the ladder. I don't know. I'm in love with the concept, man. After more testing, I mean, if people listen to our episode about it, then we talked plenty about it. But after even playing more, I'm just like, this has that addictive quality that like Hearthstone had for me with just the games a long time ago. And now it's like adding this another layer to it. Just you get done and you're just like, I want to press that button again. Like, I'm ready to go. Let's go. So, I hope this was successful and we get more of this because I love it.
For me, I didn't actually play anymore. I did my one run and kind of realized that I wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be. So I just played ladder instead and practiced. And, that got me playing more Hearthstone than I think I've played in the last probably 2 months. Like, I've been playing off and on, but usually it's a few hours just to prep for the show, like nothing kind of crazy. Haven't been grinding for Legend or anything else. And this made me actually like want to get good again. And so I think it was successful from that standpoint, even for a kind of like middle, like not competitive but not casual player. Like it got me interested in a way that only a new set has gotten me interested in the past.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you there as well. And if you're not aware of it, by the way, everyone, we do have a Tavern Brawl version of this show called the Angry Chicken Brawl. So if you're listening in like an audio only format and you never check the website or anything of that nature, just look up the Angry Chicken Brawl and you'll most likely find it. It looks like the Angry Chicken, but it's all chalkboardy. And we did an episode all about this Tavern Brawl, and we even went one step further and we triple piloted a Tempo Mage deck together on stream this past Friday, and it is now up on the YouTube, which you can find over at youtube.com/AmoveTV. So if you want to hear even more about our thoughts on the Heroic Brawl, definitely go and check those two things out. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I'd like to see this stick around. Joss, I'm definitely in your camp. This is this definitely had the effect of making me play more Hearthstone than I have in a very long time, in a single, well, more than one single sitting, but multiple sittings. In 3 separate sittings, I never took a break when I did one of these runs. I sat down and I played the entire thing all the way through. Partially just put money where my own mouth is, because I just keep saying I want a longer form. I want a binge play version of Hearthstone. And I know that was not the intent of Heroic Brawl. That's not what really the design was, but that's how I played it, because that's what I really want added to the game. And I loved the hell out of it. It really did. It gave me the closest thing that I have to the experience of how I like to play Magic, which is usually in binge sessions when there's a local tournament.
I actually didn't even try leaving a session and coming back to it. I wonder how that would actually even feel like, because I'm with you. As soon as I would sit down for one, I just wanted to see it through.
Yeah. Yeah. I do it in Arena. And I
do that in Arena sometimes too. Yeah, because you just kind of
it's probably worse in Arena.
Yeah, but like in Arena, sometimes you just feel like you just want to draft a little bit, and like that kind of is fun. And then you realize I don't really have time to sit here and play for whatever 2.5 hours. So you just kind of bail after a few games.
Yeah, playing Arena for 2.5 hours is never my concern. It's never that big of a time investment for me. But no, I find walking away from Arena is probably worse, just because I'm like, wait, what did I have in my deck again? Like, you really get out of the flow of your deck, versus with a constructed deck, you can come in and out of that kind of a game, because you're more familiar with your decks when you're playing a
and even if you look through
mode.
the deck list again, it still doesn't
not the same.
translate to understanding what your deck is. Yeah, because a lot of times after an Arena draft, you have a sense of, okay, I have somewhat of an aggro deck, somewhat of a mid-range deck. And then you can kind of adjust play style. You understand what your mulligans should be like. You sit back down, you look through, and you're still just like, okay, well, I have that card.
What was
what's
I
my overall strategy here? Yeah. I'm with you there.
I agree. It's of two minds, right? Like I'm with Dills. Like again, sometimes I just want to draft. But Josh, you're 100% right. I think it's just objectively worse to come back to Arena if you take a break versus Heroic Brawl, because Heroic Brawl, like, you know exactly what you were doing, because you had essentially all the time you could ever want to put together the perfect deck.
And if, let's say, you were really tryharding and you were worried, you could even like play a few games, feel like you're not playing that great in Tavern Brawl, close Tavern Brawl, take your deck into ladder and play it a little bit in ladder, just to be like, okay, am I doing everything right? Do I feel like I'm playing right? And then come back, and it would, that would maybe even have a positive effect. That
Wouldn't it
does not
be cool
exist
if
in
we could
Arena.
do that with our Arena decks? At the very least, play against a friend with an Arena deck? I don't know. I've never heard that mentioned before.
There's an idea.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone mention that before. Definitely not multiple times on a podcast called The Angry Chicken for years.
I think more than anything with Heroic Brawl, I'm kind of angry at myself. I wish I had taken, and I know like we were crazy busy. We had BlizzCon in there. I had the Extra Life Marathon, like we didn't have a lot of space between announcement, or I guess a lot of free space in my schedule between announcement and actual implementation of the Brawl. So I kind of wish that I had done a little bit more preparation, because it was such a limited amount of time. I was like, I had the time. I could have played Heroic Brawls over the weekend, but in the end, I didn't end up doing it, and I'm kind of mad at myself because of that. And I want this to be something like a more regular thing, or even if we had like a Heroic Brawl schedule, like once every 3 months, or expected at the end of an expansion, or something. I hope this comes back, because I'm a little bit mad at myself for not taking more advantage of what I think was a phenomenal addition to game modes in Hearthstone.
Yeah. That being said, did you find yourself watching a lot more streams?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. So I like, that's the other thing I point to. And I'm not saying it was perfect. I mean, we've been getting tweets all week, on both sides of the spectrum. People are straight up saying they're boycotting it. It's too expensive. They're used to the Brawl. They're used to their free pack, and they feel something has been taken away. And while clearly I think all three of us disagree. Is it safe I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but I think we all kind of...
I don't agree with someone who says that this shouldn't have been done because they're expecting whatever,
It's just, a sense of entitlement. It's, instead of looking at it as a bonus or a gift that Hearthstone has been giving them every week, they're looking at something as, as something that they are entitled to and that they should be getting week after week. And, I don't necessarily think that that's right.
I was going to say,
you should look at Tavern Brawl as something you expect, for sure. Because it is their testing ground. And if they don't have the ability to just throw this in as a fifth game mode, then this is where they put it, right? This is exactly where they put it. So you got to remember that. And, yes, you got one less pack, but hey, you know what? It'd be a cool move on Blizzard's part. Just give 2 packs next week, right? And then just be like, "What's up?"
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, if people are truly that angry, yeah. I mean, what I was going to say is I see where folks with that opinion are coming from. I clearly disagree with it, but because my worry is they won't take more risks, they won't try more things, and that's what I want. I just want more experimentation. I want them to be more open. I want them to come out and say, "Hey, we're not sure, but here, try it. Let us know what you think." Mm-hmm. That's the gaming world I want to live in. So, anyways, I really enjoyed it. And Dills, I gotta ask you to clarify. You sure you got 7 wins? Because I was waiting. I was holding my breath to see if you or I had the most wins.
I don't remember. There was a lot of runs that were like 5.
No, you need to remember. I need to know, man. My
Garrett wants
EP.
to know
They
if
all
you
run
won or
together
not.
at this point. So
My
I know I had a
EP.
6. I know I had a few 6s, I think, but yeah, I don't know.
All right.
It was a lot of them at really late at night.
Yeah, because honestly, I was expecting you to crush me. So
Well,
if
I wasn't.
if at the end of the day you got 7, that makes me happy because I know you're a better player than I am.
I wasn't expecting to really ever go 12, to be honest, because even 12-2 is just an insane win rate, right? So like everything kind of has to go right for that amount of games, and obviously a better player has a better shot at that. But even like a player who is a top tier player is definitely not even, I think, a favorite to get 12, right? I think they're probably still a favorite at maybe 8 or 9 as being like their spot, but the fact that so many of them like got 1 but did so many runs means to me that that played out as I kind of expected, right? Like some guys obviously got on their first run, went lucky and ran good and played a good deck and got good matchups and obviously played well as well, and were able to get 12 like really quickly. But I know Amaz, like he spammed them for a while, I know Wreckful played a whole bunch. I know a whole bunch of guys like played just a whole bunch of them, and only got maybe 1 or 2 at the most. So it wasn't, no matter how good of a player you are. Like I think an arena player, because if their knowledge of arena surpasses that of everybody else, it's a bigger gap than constructed play because so many more people are closer, right, to what the pros are at. So I think in this particular instance, it's much harder. Like you're not going to get a Hafu of Heroic Tavern Brawl, I don't think. It just tends to get 12 a lot,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, which is, I think, just correct. That's how it's supposed to go.
I agree.
I would kind of like to see maybe I don't necessarily agree with the 3 and out rule. I kind of wish it was like 4 or 5 to bring it more in line with what a good an acceptable competitive win rate is, because I mean we're looking at 60% as a really good win rate. So then if you have to win like 80% or higher to get close to 12-2, then that it seems really like they're asking way too much.
Yeah.
Well,
Given
12
the amount
out of 14, which is a 12-2 record, is 85% win rate.
Yeah.
Right. So.
So yeah, if you're getting, like 11-3 or 10-3, those kind of win rates, they're way higher than what you would normally expect a competitive World Championship Hearthstone player to get. So I think I would like to see something better in terms of like giving you more chances to have like really crappy RNG and have, bad card draw and all the kind of things that can stack up against you that don't necessarily have to do with your play. I would rather see a little bit more leeway on the losing side.
Think about also you could do like smash the rewards a little bit, because a Swiss tournament, generally you'll get to something like 8 wins. It'll be 8 match wins. And then that'll kind of decide where you're at, and 3 match losses would eliminate you, right? So 12 is just like a really high number.
Yeah, and those are matches, not games.
They're matches, not.
So,
you have a higher.
There's more
percentage.
variance in games.
Hey guys,
Exactly.
Wouldn't it be
the better
cool
player
if
wins a match more often than a game.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Wouldn't it be cool if we had matches?
Well, yes, absolutely.
Yes,
but if it was
Wouldn't
the
that be cool?
case, I personally wouldn't want to play to 12 matches.
No.
No,
Oh,
God, no. Nope.
I'd want like go back to 9. Remember Arena was 9?
Yes.
That was fine. So like 9 is the maximum wins, 3 is the maximum losses. Smush things a little bit more. That's 7, 8, 9. Yeah. That's when you get the golden legendaries. Yeah, I think that's fine.
No, I agree. I will say to your point, Jocelyn, I agree if we're talking about changing it to something that's more permanent. I think Tavern Brawl as it is, it's fine.
Yeah.
I get it's the point. It's supposed to just be absurd to get 12 wins, and I think it is successfully absurd to get 12 wins. So
yeah, and the thing is too, I mean, it's built, it's Tavern Brawl, it's not permanent, it's built in the game systems that they have, and right now they have the 12-3 game system that comes with Arena. So I mean, like to get it in and out in a Tavern Brawl is awesome, and I think 12-3 is fine for non-permanent Tavern Brawl type of a situation. But if it were to be added to the game in some sort of permanent fashion, then I think they need to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. Anyways, before we move on, we are sponsored this episode by Harrys.com. If this is your first episode, this is your first time hearing that we are sponsored by Harrys.com, welcome. They make awesome razors, so you should go over there, check them out. You should look up their free trial set because you can sign up for a free trial. You can cancel anytime. It's like Netflix. It's like, wow, we mention this all the time. You guys are nerds. You understand how subscriptions work. And we have a code that you can use. You can use the code TAC over at Harrys.com when you sign up for a free trial set. And in addition to the free trial set that you will also get their post-shave balm, and you will support the Angry Chicken in the process. So we really appreciate Harry's for supporting us, and I appreciate the lack of neck beard I get from your products. MrHarrys.com.
Mr. Harry's.
Yes, I know Mr.
Oh,
Harry's.
Mr. Harry's. Yes.
Yeah,
Don't go to Mr. Harry's.com.
Don't go to Mr.
Just
Harry's.
go to Harry's.com.
You know what that is.
Cannot guarantee your safety if you go to MrHarrys.com.
Indeed. Simply Harry's. HARRYS.com. The Angry Chicken thanks them for their support.
Hell yeah. By the way, I switched out. I got back from my long, giant vacation. Well, not vacation, but work trips. Switched out to a fresh one, and it was just like a fresh summer breeze just taking the beard off my face. It was so good, man. So good. And they send you a bunch right off the bat. They sent it's like 4 or 6 or something like that. It's a lot. So, yeah. I was like, my normal self wants to save things as long as possible. But I'm like, I got so many, dude. Let's go put a fresh one in. So, yeah, it's good times.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm starting to grow it back now. But the weekend before last week, I clean shaved for the first time. I haven't done that in forever. Like, dude, were you just like, oh my God, my face is cold. My face is so cold afterwards.
Well, Texas got weirdly cold out of nowhere. So, yeah, I was shocked by that. But now it's back to normal. And actually, I'm being lazy again. So we'll have to get in there after the show.
Yeah. No, the free trial set comes with the Truman razor, a blade, shave gel, and a travel blade cover. So that's what you'll be getting in addition to the post-shave balm. So go check them out. Again, Harrys.com. Also, before we get into the Cabal card discussion, I want to remind our patrons actually not remind because it's the first time we're mentioning the new patron hangout, but we want to inform you that our next patron hangout will actually be next Tuesday after the regular Angry Chicken live show. So a little different than usual. It'll probably be around 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, roughly. The show, sometimes ends early, sometimes goes a little late, but that's when it'll most likely begin. We'll take a 5-minute break after the show, come back, and start taking calls from you all. Patreon.com/TAC is the place to go for information on that. And with that in mind, let's move in and talk about the Cabal this week. We talked about the Grimy Goons last week, and this week we'll be discussing what Cabal cards have been announced so far, starting with the Mage. By the way, the Cabal, if you're not aware, is Mage, Priest, and Warlock. So all your robe-wearing, spell-flinging, way too into their hair denizens of Azeroth. So, starting with the Mage, quite a few cards have been announced for the Mage class, but not all of them. As a matter of fact, no class we talk about today has had all of its cards revealed. And dear God, are people mad about the Warlock? But let's talk about Mage first. Starting with the commons, well, the one common that has been announced. The Cabal Lackey, which is a 1-mana common minion that has 2 attack, 1 health, and a battle cry that reads, the next secret you play this turn costs 0.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
Yep.
Seems very good. Well, especially because the key to this card is this special new secret mage actually good or not? Because if the deck sucks, then this card doesn't really go anywhere else. It will be a pretty cool card in Arena just because it's a 1-drop. In Arena, a lot of times you really do value 1-drops because it's just early tempo. You know, it's a 2/1, it just gets killed, but it'll make it so that if you want to draft some secrets, they suddenly become much better, right? So essentially on turn 1, you play 4 mana worth of stuff. That being said, some of the secrets you would play on turn 1 are not going to be that great, right? So you have to remember that. Like a turn 1 Cabal Lackey into Mirror Entity would not be very good because you'll be copying their 1-drop, right?
But into something like Ice Block would be great.
Well, to set up some things like that would be pretty good. To set up like an early, I don't know, like an early counterspell or spellbender might be pretty good. And so, you know, it's a pretty decent card, but I think it actually has more value in the like mid to late game where you're able to just spam a free secret, right? Like, or essentially play a secret for 1 mana. But we'll see. This all really depends on whether that deck is good or not. If that deck sucks, this card doesn't go anywhere else, right? So this card's like good in one deck, and if the deck is bad, then it's bad overall. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is a giant will see card. I agree. Let's look at the Cabal Crystal Runner. Actually one of my favorite pieces of art from the set so far, which you'll hear me say a lot today because the Cabal style is OP. They have the coolest looking everything. But the Cabal Crystal Runner is a 6-mana rare minion for mages. She has 5 attack, 5 health, and reads costs 2 less for each secret you've played this game.
Which again, this is is the secret mage going to be good or not? Because that's kind of where this one fits. But even then, like there's so many mage decks. I think pretty much every mage deck plays a secret or 2. And I think if you can get one.
Well, most tempo mages these days aren't. But yeah. But
even now there's that like Freezy Bernie mage deck. I don't know what it's actually officially called, but Freezy Bernie seems fine. You know, they've got a couple of secrets going. Your traditional Freeze Mage obviously has their secrets going. So I've seen tempos with Mirror Entity still sometimes, but
sometimes it's kind of gotten cut. So the when you see secrets now in Tempo Mages, generally they got them off of babbling books or Kabbalist tomes.
But where you're playing books and tomes, you know, in your regular deck, and they can generate secrets. I mean, I don't know if you can get even one proc off on.
This will only go in a deck that's actually running secrets. So it won't go in like a typical Freeze Mage because a typical Freeze Mage is just burning, right? So they don't need a 5/5 at some point. They don't need a free 5/5. They want all their minions to either draw cards or make their cards cheaper or set your opponent's health to 15, right? Like that's pretty much what their minions actually do. But like this will go into, say, a Reno Mage that runs like an Ice Block and some other stuff. This will go in some sort of mid-range secrets deck, which I think is what a lot of people are theory crafting. This will be like this is kind of the thing from below of that deck, right? So after playing 3 secrets, you get a 0-mana 5/5.
Yeah.
After playing 1 secret, like I'd say on turn 3 you play a secret, on turn 4 you play a 5/5. That's fine, right? That's totally fine.
All they need now is a card
that deck will be.
I was gonna say all they need now is a card that makes their hero power give you secrets, and then it'll truly be the thing from below.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, this card will be fantastic in those decks, and I kind of assume that we'll be seeing that deck. I think that deck will definitely be a thing. Just because of how many of these cards exist, right? Like we're now 2 cards into the Mage set, and both of them are like secret tech kind of cards. And also we've had like the Avian Watcher, which hasn't really ever seen play yet, but would make sense in this type of deck. A card that is a 4/7 for 5 when you have a secret with taunt. So yeah, that card will definitely be in there. I don't think you can put this card into an existing Mage deck, really. It's just going to create a new archetype, I think. My guess, anyway.
No, that's my guess too. It's like looking at the beast cards coming to Druid over the course of many sets. Except this looks to be a little bit of a stronger push. So.
I like that they're pushing secrets. I like that secrets are kind of a way for you to interact. It's really the only way for you to interact with your opponent's turn. I think they have an extra level of, gameplay where if you're playing against a class with secrets, then you have to, do all the testing and everything else. And if you're playing the class with the secrets, you have to play your secrets at the proper time. So I love, because with Cloaked Huntress, we got, that extra push that Hunter needed for Secret Hunter to be a thing. And I like I know I'm probably going to take some crap for this, but Secret Pally, it's fine. I don't think that it was that bad. I mean, the only thing that made Secret Pally annoying was the fact that everyone was playing it on ladder, and that's also what makes mid-range Shaman annoying right now, is just that you're seeing so much of it. And I don't think that that's a problem with the deck. I think that's a problem with, the meta. There's always going to be something at the top, so there's always going to be something annoying. But, I mean, Secret Mage, Secret Hunter, Secret Pally, yes, please.
I like it.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Secret Paladin on Wild lately, by the way. I don't know why. Actually, I know why. I've had a lot of Paladin dailies to play Paladin cards, and I'm just like, well, I don't like standard Paladin decks right now, so I'm just going to play a broken one in Wild. But speaking of secrets, let's talk about Potion of Polymorph, which is a 3-mana rare spell for mages. It's also a secret, and it reads, after your opponent plays a minion, transform it into a 1/1 sheep. Preemptive polymorph is what this should have been named.
Yes. Yes, the polymorph that you can play around a little bit, though. So, you save a mana on it, but your opponent will be able to... The thing about this card that makes it less good is you already play around Mirror Entity a little bit, so now you're getting to play around multiple secrets all at once. So, I mean, a 3-mana polymorph is really good. I mean, obviously, Hex is really good, but Hex is targetable. You use it when you want. So I think, it's definitely weaker than... I think it's weaker than a lot of people are thinking, because a lot of people have looked at this and be like, oh my god, this is so good. But I think it does make it into what the deck we're talking about, right? I think it's part of that deck's toolkit. But again, you'll be able to play around it. So I don't know if this will make it into competitive play, because good players won't fall into this trap very often. But, let's say on turn 7 you get this out, and now, they can't play Tyrion, right? That's pretty effective if you've just changed what their game plan is.
Yeah, there's certain there's certain minions in certain decks that, even if this causes them to play it one turn later, that might be what, edges the game in your favor.
Yeah.
I mean, we just talked about Secret Paladin. You could play this on turn 5 if they come back. And they also run Tyrion.
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, that's the thing. So I do really think that this card will make it into some decks. I don't know if it's I've been seeing people be like, oh, this card's insane. I'm not on board with its insanity just yet. I think it's a fair card at 3 mana.
Yeah, I think it falls into the techie territory. It depends. Are there bombs coming down on very specific turns, and will worst case scenario just delaying it, not actually getting the sheep on that target, help you win the game?
Yeah, and then there's other things too. I need to see how this actually works, because I believe the way things work is battle cries happen before secrets proc. So they play a minion that has a battle cry that's effective. They still get the effect of the said battle cry, and then they get a sheep, right? If it were to nullify battle cries, holy crap, this card would go instantly into every deck. But in its current state, I don't think it quite makes it there, right? And I mean that's I'm just assuming that's how it works based on how Hearthstone works, but. So I'm on board with this card as being in this deck, this secret-based mage deck, but I'm not on board really with this card going into, say, an existing archetype.
Yeah.
But we talked about with the Babbling Book and the Kabbalist Tome, this will just end up sometimes being out there, because that's how Mage works these days. They get a lot of random free spells.
Yep. One more secret to test for when you're playing against Deppa mages that play Babbling Book.
Yeah. But I mean, we did say, you test for this pretty much the same way you test for Mirror Entity. So, you're already doing this in your list of how do I test mage secrets things. So.
Yeah, which instantly makes it, slightly weaker, right? It's not because Cat Trick added a new thing, right?
Yeah,
Cat Trick added a new thing to play around.
It's a very good point.
And this card doesn't do that. So, I don't even know what really Mage kind of has. I guess they don't have attack-based secrets really, except for
Vaporize.
But everything's attack face, right? There's no attack.
Oh, you mean stuff. Attack minions?
Yeah, Vaporize and Ice Barrier.
Yeah.
So Vaporize and Ice Barrier are those ones, but yeah, I mean, To be honest, like this deck has to be fairly good at least when I'm looking at all these cards that are being added. So this card is going to see play. But will this deck be better than like Tempo Mage? Because if it is, then Tempo Mage kind of goes away. If not, then this deck never really sees play.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, let's talk about Volcanic Potion. It's another rare spell, costs 3 mana, and deals 2 damage to all minions.
Cheap
So that's
AoE.
good.
Yeah, that's pretty much awesome.
It's good. It's pretty good.
I mean, this spell, we could just say this spell will, because right now you're even seeing people start to put back in the Arcane Explosion.
Yeah,
right?
we had it in our
with Shaman. Yeah,
in our Heroic Brawl deck.
So in a Shaman world, if Shaman is still, I mean, this is definitely a very anti-Shaman card, very anti-Zoo card. I think we've talked on the show too in the past about how we wanted there to be more effective AoE cards, and we're getting a bunch so far. We're getting some Warlock stuff, some Priest stuff, and now here Mage is getting one more. So yeah, this card, I really like that it's a rare. Thank you, Blizzard, for making this not a common Mage card. Because we were sick of watching Mage just continue to get better and better in Arena. So maybe they're listening finally, and they made it a rare, which means you won't see it spammed all the friggin' time in Arena. So that's good.
Yeah, I really think that this card specifically seems like them listening to Arena complaints, just because it seems like a very basic card. This is what I would expect to see. Like, it's really easy to understand, and this is what I would expect to see a common card be, right? But yeah,
But
I
that's
think
kind
this
of
is them listening to Arena.
Yeah, isn't that is the
Concerns.
flaw though, right? In that like line of thinking though, like simple cards should be commons, kind of convoluted cards should be rares. What the F card should be F? No, that's not how it should work at all. If there's a mode of your game where balance is actually somewhat tied to the rarity, you should consider that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm happy to see that. I'm with you.
Yeah, the fact that Arena is a thing means you need to make these kind of cards, and the fact that Mage is as good as they are in Arena means you need to make these cards rares or higher. So good on them. They're listening. They're doing it right, and yeah, maybe with some of the other cards that have been added, people will start to catch up a little bit. We shall see. But this card, I think, we'll see play in Constructed as well. I think this is just a good card, and plus we got those cards that give random potions, right? So. This card will end up seeing play in probably a few archetypes, just because they'll be playing that random potion card.
Yeah.
Let's look at Manic Soulcaster. It's a 3 mana epic minion for mages. It has 3 attack, 4 health, and a battle cry that reads, choose a friendly minion, shuffle a copy into your deck.
It's like Gang Up, but off steroids.
Yeah. Well, it's like Gang Up with a 3/4. So.
Yeah.
It's like instantly better. The problem is you have to have a friendly minion on the board, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to either have play a minion in the same turn you play this, or a minion has to make it through a turn, which you can't normally count on. But I mean, it's 3 mana 3/4. So even if it doesn't get the battle cry, it's still like not that terrible. So I think if you can get a value minion and get it back into your deck to play again, I think the archetype this is really good for is the one where you're kind of playing like the Reno style, and because that minion has now already been played, so you're not getting a second copy. You're still able to play Reno, right?
Right.
So and that card or that kind of deck's probably going to run a lot of value minions, so you'll probably have most minions that do something when they come out or are pretty decent at affecting the board. So now you get another copy of that, which you didn't have another copy of it before, right? So this is like another way to just kind of add to your deck. Plus, anytime you can put another card in your deck, you kind of now have an advantage in Fatigue Wars, which a lot of times those decks are built to generally go towards. So yeah,
Mill
it's
Mage?
a pretty decent card in that type of archetype.
I can dig it.
Well, they're saying isn't Panda cheaper? Panda doesn't do what this does, guys. Read the card, shuffle a copy. Panda pulls that card off the board and puts it back into your hand.
Into your hand, too.
This copies the card and puts a copy
yeah.
into your deck.
Yeah,
right?
so that minion is still chilling on the board, and you just got
thing
an
is on the
extra
board
one
still,
thrown
yes.
back in your deck. And chances are, if you put that minion in your deck in the first place, it's probably good in your deck.
Yeah.
Also, it's kind of cool for Reno Mage. Like you kind of get, a second version of something without without screwing yourself on Reno, which I like. And also, I'll be saying this a lot today. Really cool art. Look at that hair.
Super cool art. Yeah. Pretty much all these cards, man. But yeah, I like this card a lot, even if it might not be like an actually super good card. I just really like this idea, this concept. So I will definitely be playing with this card. I'll definitely be playing. I think Reno Mage, or I don't even know if you're gonna. Once Reno goes away, what are you gonna call it? You'll call it
Inkmaster Solia.
Yeah, or you'll call it Inkmaster Solia card. Okay, Inkmaster Solia Mage. That does not roll off the tongue.
No,
it really is good.
You just call it Solia Mage.
Single mages.
Okay, sure.
Singles mage.
I mean, I think we'll still.
There's also whatchamacallit, what's the Highlander. You can also call it Highlander. You can call all of them Highlander decks because there can only be one.
I mean, I think we'll like for the rest of forever. I think we're still going to reference Reno. Anytime
probably.
We see, if your card has no duplicates, it's like, well, they should just keyword that as Reno, yada yada yada, because that's what we'll always think of, and naturally on this podcast, new people will pick it up and be like, what's up with Reno? And years from now, we'll have to give a history lesson on Reno Jackson, and that excites me. Yeah. Hearthstone having a history excites me.
Back in my day,
and that's why
Reno Jackson.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of Inkmaster Solia, let's talk about her. This is the 7 mana legendary minion for mages. Solia has 5 attack, 5 health, and a battle cry that reads, if your deck has no duplicates, aka Reno, the next spell you cast this turn costs 0.
Yeah, and it doesn't even cost health. It doesn't cost whatever. It just costs 0. So
0 mana Pyroblast.
Yeah. So you play a weak body, when you play this, but things like Kabbalist Tome, things like the 10 mana spell you'll get with Kazakus, things like
oh my god,
Pyroblast, things like Fireball, things like even just like a Frostbolt is fine. You played a 5/5 and a Frostbolt, like that'll be fine sometimes. Obviously, you paid 7 mana for this, but it also means that on like a turn 7, you can play, 17 mana worth of stuff, right? So yeah.
And until the next standard year, you'll still be able to have Reno in that deck. So you can take your sweet time figuring out what card you want to discount to 0. Which
this is a card that just makes Reno Mage instantly like a thing. Even if Kazakus wasn't being added, right? Even if that card wasn't being added, this card is strong enough to make Reno Mage, because people are already playing Reno Mage, right?
Yeah.
Because Ice Block works so well with Reno. You can wait until they pop your block and then Reno up to 30. So even before, you had any of these cards, Reno Mage was a thing. It was never like a top tier deck. Maybe now it becomes like a top tier deck. So
yeah, I still think that Reno in general and this whole idea of incentivizing you to build decks, purposely inconsistent decks, is possibly the coolest thing Hearthstone has done. Because it's something I never saw coming before they, Reno popped up on the screen at BlizzCon 2 years ago. Well, a year ago, technically.
I remember making Reno decks before Reno was a thing and just realizing like there was just no way this was ever going to be good. But, my thought process then was, I've never tried it. Let's just see. Maybe I have all these cards that are good in certain situations. Maybe like the draws line up properly. Of course, it never happened that way. But, then suddenly like that card came along. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like now that concept, that kind of tool around concept, come up with all sorts of weird stuff to do concept, is suddenly viable. So yeah, I love the Reno deck. I like playing EDH and Magic, which is 100 cards, are all different except for your mana base. So yeah, I hope this never goes away. Like even if Reno, and I've heard people say that they think maybe Reno will move into the classic set, like even if that never happens, I want them to keep printing cards with this text on it.
God, I want Reno
to do really cool things.
I want Reno to join the classic set in the worst way.
If there was one card, I would be down with that card.
Yeah. And before we move on to talk about Priest, I just have to say, so far, Solia is my favorite art in this set. Of everything we've seen so far, this is the coolest damn art. And yes, I absolutely have a bias, apparently, for female elves. I don't know why. Read into that all you want. Chan Man took it to weird places on Twitter. But
elves are hot, dude.
Yeah. Also, the tattoo. I want that tattoo. That's sweet. Great that I also want it to glow and emit magical fog, but it's pretty badass.
What tattoo? Oh, the tattoo on the.
She's
on the
literally
back of
tattooing like a fel orc. It's
right.
Or not. It's like a purple orc, and she's also like half purple on the one side of her face.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell like where she ends and where like the orc dude starts.
Mm-hmm. But whatever the case is, supremely sweet. If you haven't seen the art already, audio only listeners, definitely go look it up. All right, let's move on and talk about Priest, which of the three classes we're talking about today have had the most cards revealed. Almost like they wanted to placate the masses. Anyways, let's get in and talk about the first common on the docket. The Kabal Talon Priest, which is a 3-mana common minion, has 3 attack, 4 health, a very sharp beak, and a battle cry that reads, give a friendly minion plus 3 health. I can dig it. I can dig it a lot.
Yeah, this is just a good card if you are, one of the things Priest was really weak at for a long time was tempo plays, right? Early game tempo plays. So, this helps a lot. Think about playing like a wild pyromancer and then buffing at 3 health, allowing you to then do a bunch more stuff with it. Obviously, there's a new card, Mana Geo, that we'll get to in a little bit, which plays pretty well with this card as well. But yeah, I think, one of the things Priest was just missing was the ability to do what they used to do when they had the Undertaker version, which was, start just playing some cards. And then when they could play, oh man, what's the name of the damn other 3-mana 3/4?
I'm thinking the same one and I can't remember either.
Yeah. But, that one was Death Rattle. This is Battle Cry,
yeah.
Means like it's kind of instantly better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you just get to do it right away. They can't play around it, right? Because before they would kill all the other stuff off on your board, and then they would kill it, and then you would not get the Death Rattle. Dark Cultist.
Dark Cultist, thank you, chat room.
Chat would have my back. But so that's the weakness of that. Whereas the weakness is you have to have the minion on board on turn 3. It has to survive turn 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they both have weaknesses, but I do think if you're comparing the two, this one is just slightly better, right? So cool card. I think it should see some play. Definitely a good card for Arena as well. Priest Arena needed help, and this card provides quite a bit.
It's such a solid common. It really is. Let's look at the Potion of Madness, which that's the most unhappy potion I've ever seen. This is a 1-mana common spell for Priest, and it reads, gain control of an enemy minion with 2 or less attack until the end of the turn. Great. I love this spell for 1 mana.
Yeah, for 1 mana, it's pretty dope because you can 2 for 1 for 1 mana, right?
Yeah, I am gonna screw with so many poor people with this card.
And then, of course, you've got the pint-sized potion to go along with this to make it so that you can grab like a Sylvanas, say, right? Mm-hmm. So for 2 mana, you can steal a Sylvanas and run it into something. That being said, the Sylvanas has to die, so that means something will still have to have 5 attack on the other side. But still, like Sylvanas could be hurt by that point. There's all sorts of things that can happen. This is milkshake deck card for me, obviously. So I'm looking forward to having more cards to add to that. It's a cool card. The time will tell, though, if the meta allows this card to actually be viable, right? Mm-hmm. Because based on what's going on in the meta, there might not be enough targets for this, and then it'll be like a dead card in certain situations. But if there's any aggro decks around, yeah, you'll see this get played.
Does this strike you as power creep at all? Like looking at Shadow Madness, I know it's not 1-to-1, but considering I have to pay 4 mana to grab something with 3 or less attack, and I only have to pay 1 to grab something with 2 or less, and Pint-Sized Potion, as you mentioned, is coming into the game, like, that seems nuts.
Yeah, when you compare them 1-to-1, yes, but again, the conditions are, I think, harder to meet here. In a like, even though it's only 1 less attack, that's a whole bunch less minions, right?
Well, yes,
a whole bunch less minions and a lot of minions that don't see play are 2 attack, right? So you don't see that many whatever berserkers. You don't see that many, you don't see a lot of those 2 attack minions out there. Otherwise, Kodo would be everywhere. But again, they also introduced a way to get reduce that. So I think you will start to see more stuff. The other thing too is you can now play this and Cabal Shadow Priest, and now you've got like Pint-Sized Potion. Now you got more ways to interact with 2 or less attack minions. So I think it'll be out there. I just don't know how good.
Yeah.
2 or less attack. Like what you're looking at, like what, Loot Hoarders? Loot Hoarders like your best target, right?
Yeah. Well,
Doomsayers.
Well, so you take it to your side of the board, and then
Yeah.
what do you accomplish with that?
and what do you do with it? You're like, yeah, I got it. Here, you
Well,
have
then,
it back.
then
and
he
fight the
can't
board.
play any minions on his turn. It messes
It goes
up
back
his.
to his side at the end of the turn.
Oh, yeah, right.
When validated
I forgot about
Doomsayer,
the switching back part.
Yeah, it switches back. You don't just steal it.
when validated Doomsayer comes out of a Firelands portal, that will be
Now
gross.
in Wild, I'm feeling like all sorts of okay. Bran is probably the other, but Bran you have to run into something with 4 attack. Kindly Grandmother, again you got to run it into something. So, like you need them to have 2 minions on board. One of them has to have 2 or less attack.
I love chat saying purify. That's awesome.
There's a lot of
Steal,
conditions.
Purify
Actually,
it,
Purify is
send it
pretty
back.
sweet though. Yeah, Purify is pretty sweet because but the issue I think with Purify is it actually just gives it directly back, right? So
I'm gonna like vomit from laughter if this takes off with Purify.
it doesn't. So the way because there's already a thing where if you Shadow Madness something, you steal it, and then when you silence it, it just goes directly back because the fact that it's on your side of the board is a buff.
But you could
So if
run
you
it
actually
into
silence that
something.
buff, you directly give it back.
Yeah, you could run it into something, then purify it.
Still give it back though.
Yeah, and then you give back a silence damage.
You draw a card and you give them back a silenced
Yeah.
version of it. Okay, sure.
That's a lot of effort, but I love it just because Purify.
Good luck, guys. Get
Jeez.
out there, do your thing.
All right. I'm excited about this card anyway, regardless of the absurd possibilities. I
totally.
just like Potion of
Cool
Madness.
card.
Draconid Operative is next up. This is a 5-mana rare dragon for priests. Has 5 attack, 6 health, and a battle cry that reads, if you're holding a dragon, discover a card in your opponent's deck. So freaking cool. Also,
and
surprisingly
really
surprisingly close to like an email we got a few weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. This card's just really good because it's a 5-mana 5/6. It has an upside, right? So the 5-mana 5/6 is already fine. And its upside is actually really good. And it's a dragon, so it activates your other dragons. So it's a dragon card you can kind of hold on to in the early game when you're playing a dragon priest. And the fact that you get to discover it means, you see 3 cards
you
from
get so
the
much
deck.
information. Yeah.
It's a ton of information.
Mm-hmm.
You get so much information. You get to know what's actually still in their deck as opposed to what's in their hand even. They're probably going to be really good cards because, again, they're built into somebody's constructed deck. This is a really, really powerful priest card.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took this long with the discover mechanic, being a thing for this to come to priest, because it just seems now that it's here, it's like, oh my god, this seems like such a natural progression, right? Like how do you keep the flavor of what priest has been since the launch, but make it kind of better and eliminate some of the randomness? And this is a great way.
Well, they've been using Discover to eliminate randomness in a lot of cases in the game
that's
right now.
been one of the themes. of
Yeah,
this
but I'm
expansion.
talking about like how would you take Thought Steal and make it less random but still random? Like this is perfect.
But Thought Steal doesn't see play in like dragon decks because you get cards that don't play well with your deck, right? Your deck is very specifically needs to play, like the cards need to interact with each other. The cards need to help each other be activated, or they need to, So in this case, you'll see 3 cards. You can take the one that plays the best, right? Rather than Thought Stealing and then getting, Deadly
Shield
Poison
Slam.
and something else. And you're just like, okay, never mind. I can't use those cards.
Yeah.
So at least in this case, it'll be very rare that you get a card that can't be used at all. So, and sometimes you're going to get something insane. So sometimes you get like a Tyrion, Sylvanas, whatever. You'll get some good stuff.
and then
that-
you can
that
still
we want.
entomb their Tyrion later. That'll be
Yeah, you
great.
can still entomb.
You can,
Exactly.
steal a Tyrion and then entomb another Tyrion and then play 2 Tyrions as a priest.
Yeah.
This is my favorite. This is how I like to win with priest. Right? Is crushing your soul.
Yeah.
Like that's my favorite way to win. And anything that lets me just do stupid things that shouldn't be allowed, even better, it's a win in my book. I'm very excited with
Now,
Draconid.
Here's the thing, though. Right now, in this current iteration of Hearthstone, everyone's sick of Shaman and wishes Priest was good again. But if Priest is really good, in 5 months or so, we might just be like, oh, God, please get rid of Priest. Like, nerf Priest, please.
Mm-hmm.
It could happen. Because, again, like you said, it crushes your soul.
It's definitely going to happen.
Annoying to play against Priest when they're really good. So just be careful what you guys all wished for. I'm just saying.
There's always, like it was said earlier on in the show, there's always going to be some deck that's at the top, and because it's at the top, it's going to be played by a larger portion of the player base than any other deck. And then we're going to say nerf class, nerf deck, nerf whatever.
But if it's Priest, I don't know. Like, it might.
You think it's going to be worse if it's Priest?
Yeah, because it's they're entuming your stuff, and they're
because it makes you feel so bad. Yeah.
Feels really bad. you play a Sylvanas, you're like, okay, I got Sylvanas at least, They're like, nope, that's my Sylvanas. Yeah, and plus, like, it literally cost the same exact amount, so like, it wasn't even like a tempo loss, and then removing it. Yeah, it could be that in 5 months we're all going, man, I wish we hadn't been asking for Priest to be really good. Mm-hmm. That said, I don't think Blizzard like went out and made Priest really good to like spite us or to show us, but It's become a meme that we may all later be like, we didn't really want it. We thought we did. We didn't. We'll see.
Well, I'm ready. You know what my concern is? Priest becoming good and the hipster in me no longer wanting to play it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That'll happen.
That's what I'm concerned about.
I've been playing Dragon Priest because I love my Tyrande Priest hero and I love her card back. So, yeah, I've been playing a lot of actually Dragon Priest because I love her so much. She's so pretty. So I'm so glad I don't have to play Anduin anymore. So whether Priest is good or bad, I'm happy with Priest right now. It doesn't take much, just some sparklies, and then I'm happy. So
go elves. I'm not alone on this show. All right, let's talk about Pint-Sized Potion. We've already said a lot about it, so but just to remind you, it's a 1-mana rare spell, and it reads, give all enemy minions -3 attack this turn only. So this was the spell that, Dills, you were talking about a lot in conjunction with Potion of Madness, where you can reduce the attack of a minion to 2 or less, and then gain control of it with Potion of Madness. So this is a really disgusting 1-2 punch if they have Sylvanas. But, of course, if they have something that can kill Sylvanas when you run Sylvanas into it.
Yes. And the problem is you'll reduce all of their attacks, right? So it'll have to be like a Sylvanas and a Rag on board or something like that. But the real 1-2 punch with this card is Shadow Word Horror, which is destroy all minions with 2 or less attack.
Mm-hmm.
So that card never really saw the light of day other than a short stint where people were like, oh, it's so good against Shaman. But then they were like, but I still have to play Priest for this one good card against Shaman. But now you'll have essentially a way to clear almost any board for 5 mana with 2 cards, yes. But you were already doing things like Akanai Circle forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you'll be clearing their entire side of the board in a lot of cases, and not your own side because it only is enemy minions that lose attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus, even if you don't get that wombo combo, you can still take your board and attack into things in a certain way, and your guys stay alive, and theirs don't, right? So.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's talk about Dragonfire Potion. This is a 6-mana epic spell. This was actually in the demo deck at BlizzCon if you played Priest, and it reads, deal 5 damage to all minions except dragons. And this is what made me kind of just put my hands up in the air and go, what? When I was I played against Katie, and I was piloting the Druid deck, which was part of the demo, and I was just like, there's just no way you can deal with this board. This is broken. Priest still sucks. And then this came out, and my whole board just disappeared, and I was just kind of like, huh. Well then, that's a thing.
Yeah, it's a 6-mana spell-powered Flame Strike. But again, it won't kill Azure Drakes. It won't kill if you're in a mirror match. It could really suck because they might be playing a bunch of dragons too. I think it's a really good card. I don't think it's like OP because of the fact that it does have some limitations, right? So, but it's really good. It is really good.
No, it's a good card. Unless everyone is running dragon decks, this is a good card.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But even then, you'll still play it because they're still going to be running, Blackwing Corruptors, and they'll still be running all that kind of stuff, at least for the next 3 months or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So those cards go away. There's still going to be cards that aren't dragons within those decks, and so you'll still find spots to use this, right?
Yeah. There's still going to be points in your mirror matchup where this is a smart use, even if it doesn't kill everything.
Sure. Yeah.
No.
So yeah, this is a really, really good card. It's like I said though, like doesn't kill Azure Drakes, doesn't kill. There are some dragons that just kind of see play anyway, so those will be fine. But outside of that, yeah, it's going to be a very powerful card, a key to making Priest really good again, right here for sure. And it's an epic though, thankfully. So in Arena, this isn't going to take over because oh man, that would be so damn frustrating.
AOE is really powerful in Arena, right?
Yeah, and I do want AOE to exist in Arena. Like I wouldn't mind seeing some more people have common AOE, like Flame Strike is a common card. But I don't want every class to have like a glut of AOE because then no one ever plays minions. We just all play around all our AOE, and then I don't know. That's not that fun either. I like developing, doing some minion combat. So yeah, I'm glad this is an epic because this card is just this is sick in Arena, disgusting in Arena.
Yeah. Mana Geode is next. This is a 2-mana epic minion with 2 attack, 3 health, and it reads: whenever this minion is healed, summon a 2/2 crystal.
This seems pretty good. I mean, we've been talking about how Priest basically needs a good 2-drop for a while, right? So this seems like a good one.
Yeah,
well,
it has a
I'll
similar...
tell you the problems with
Okay,
it.
go ahead.
Got some problems. Go ahead, Garrett.
Well, I was going to say it's cool, and it gives it's that kind of similar effect that Cleric has, right? You don't want to do anything to Cleric unless you can kill it outright, and it's going to be the same thing with this Mana Geode because of the Priest's, hero power, essentially. Yeah. However, it has 3 health.
It's a 2/3. You have to heal it. You can't heal something else. Like with a Cleric, you can heal anything.
Any minion,
and get the effect. Here you have to heal specifically this guy. There are until Totem Golem goes away, this card is never going to see play because you play a Mana Geode into their Totem Golem and then
how much longer do we have until Totem Golem is gone? Was that TGT?
TGT.
It was TGT.
Yeah, so
quite a while.
Few more months.
The next standard year, whenever the
TGT
set after
rotates
this
out in the spring.
Yeah, whatever the set is after this is when we'll lose Totem Golem. But there's going to be a few months where we're all shaking our fists at Shaman players because we want to play our Mana Geode.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think this card goes in to the Priest decks. It'll be, it's like it just gets beat by too many things, right? And then it doesn't get its effect. Plus, let's say it lives that turn. Let's say it survives till turn 3. Do I really want to then hero power for a 2/2 on turn 3? Is that my turn 3 play? Because that's not that good. I would much rather be developing a 3/4 or something else that matters, right? But I'm developing a 2/2, and I'm spending basically my whole turn, unless I have 1 mana.
But then you're also healing your 2/3 back to full, so you'd have a 2/3 and a 2/2 on turn 3.
Sure.
So you would still have like good stats,
and then they
but
play a
spread
3/4
over.
and it kills both of them. I don't know. Like it's still not. This isn't the 2-drop that Priest was looking for. I think it looks cool at first glance, but in practical play, I don't think it's going to be that great. And then a 2-mana 2/3 that does nothing the turn it's played later on in a game is going to just mean nothing, right? So it's only really going to be good as like a coin play or a turn 2 play that then is followed up with the Cabal Talon Priest or some sort of buffing card. So I think,
Power Word Shield,
a lot of people, when they saw this card, really overvalued how good this card actually is.
I do think you're undervaluing Power Word Shield a lot, though. I think that's absolutely still going to be in Priest decks, and it's going to be exceedingly simple to land that on a Mana Geode.
But the Mana Geode has to live through turn 2, right? So
or coin, but I agree with you. Like I like Mana Geode going second. Let me just put it that way.
But then if you coin it out, then you only use half your mana to Power Word Shield it next turn. So that's not really that great either. You're forfeiting your
turn 2. You don't have the mana to heal it, right?
To heal it.
There's just too many like when you're talking about how the plays actually go and how things actually work. Like when you're playing, like there's too many weird situations where this card just gets owned, just destroyed, right?
Yeah.
Dragon Warrior is still a thing. They'll play Alex Strauss's Champion at 3/3. They'll hit it. If Warrior at all is still a thing, they'll just Fiery War Axe it. Like there's just there's so many things that this card is bad against right now. So if the meta shifts at all, then I think yes, we see some stuff here. Like if Zoo comes back in a big way, this is great against early Zoo game stuff, right? Because the only thing that really sucks is a Flame Imp, and then a Flame Imp trades like evenly with it or whatever, and that's the worst case scenario. But like that takes away things like Possessed Villager and Void Walker, right? So like at least it's still kind of good there. But then against almost everything else, it's like, what is this actually good against in the early game? Not much. So.
I'm still gonna give it a shot. I think there's still going to be plenty of Shaman games where if they're dropping Totem Golem, I'm wanting to Shadow Word paint it anyway. So I'd be doing that with my turn 2 mana, and turn 3 I'll drop this and give it a health buff, to use up my 3 mana. And then I've got a body on board that's maybe, pooping out tokens for my Cabal Talon Priest to actually have something to buff, which I hope. I'm not saying it's going. I don't know how successful that's going to be, but this is a card that I am excited enough about that I do want to make. I want to try and make it work.
Good luck. I'm gonna play. Whatchamacallit, Wormrest Agent over this card and play Dragon Priest.
Oh, I'm definitely playing Dragon Priest. That's
yeah.
I didn't say I'm only playing one type of priest deck.
Yeah.
I'm saying
I'm just saying I don't think this card's good. I think I read the Reddit thread and I was like, man, these people love this card. I'm gonna I don't see it. So, but when the effect works, it's going to be obviously like free 2/2s are pretty nice. But again, they're not free. They cost 2 mana. They cost healing this, not something else. So I could see it being like maybe if this was I wish this was a common. It's not a common, right?
Right, it's an epic.
Yeah, I wish this was a common because I feel like in Arena this card has a place. Because just a 2-drop in Arena, it doesn't necessarily have to do something, right?
Yeah, it could. I mean, assuming that you have things that you can run it into that aren't going to actually kill it, it's basically turn your hero power into summon a 2/2, which is pretty awesome to always have that available. Assuming, again, you can damage this while keeping it alive, which, could be Power Word Shield, and then you're talking about more and more pieces to your potential combo. The only good thing is that one of the pieces to the combo is actually your hero power, so it's always available. But
yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it's as good as everyone was saying around the web. I don't think it's hot garbage either. I mean, if we bring in the old adage of what does this card ask of me, it actually asks a surprising amount. It's very, I think, simple to fall into the line of thinking of, oh, this is so easy to get done. And I agree with all of your concerns, Dills, but I think it'll find a place. Not in Dragon Priest, though.
No, hell no, not in Dragon Priest at all.
No.
There will have to be some other priest deck that becomes a thing. But that being said, there is a card that maybe helps that happen that we're going to talk about in a second. So,
yeah, let's talk about Raza the Chained, the 5-mana legendary minion for priests that has 5 attack, 5 health, and a battle cry that reads, if your deck has no duplicates, your hero power costs 0 this game.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be alive anymore. It just no longer costs you any mana. Free heals, guys.
And this
Free
works
heals.
well. It also works with Shadow Form. It works with Justicar. No matter what happens, like your hero power changes, your hero power just always costs 0 from that moment forward. So, yeah. So you have to play. Obviously, you have to play a Reno deck, which maybe doesn't work as well in Priest, but the effect of this is so good that people will toy with this. It doesn't happen until this card gets played, so it's not like from turn 1 you're a Reno deck and you have 0 cost hero power. This has to get played, so you have to draw this, play it, and then from that point forward, right? So if this card's like say in the bottom 5 cards of your deck, that's gonna suck balls. So especially if you build a deck around this effect. You build a deck around this effect, and it's like, oh no, uh-oh. Like, I'm not drawing it. I need that card because I'm playing this like Shadow Priest. So I think this card is a really cool card, but I think it's a totally fair card. I don't think like as OP as people are saying it is. I think it's just a fair card that enables a new Priest archetype, which is really cool. Like, I think it's a good card. I just think it's a fair card.
I think it's an exceptionally cool card.
Oh, yeah.
And thinking about how the heck I do build a Reno Priest is a very interesting headspace to be, I think, in Hearthstone. And
But
just
people are
because,
saying OP. Like I'm reading again,
No.
like all these comments. Oh my God, so OP, priest so OP. I'm like, no,
it's such
cool, fair, like fair, totally fair.
Priest-
Above average card.
hero power is so
Not game breaking
passive.
in the least bit.
It's so passive
Not at
unless you're going shadow in some way, unless you're making it cause damage in some way. It's such a passive hero power.
Yeah,
it's fine.
but I mean, it does enable shadow, like the shadow priest to finally get like I think that little bit of power it needed, which is, you've spent the 3 mana, well, essentially 6 mana if you did it twice to get your hero power to be this powerhouse of doing 3 damage. Now to like then add the effect of now it costs 0 for the rest of the game. Suddenly you're now like if you can get to that point, it's like now it's like you just win, right? So it's a lot to get. It's a lot of things to set up.
But-
so obviously
but do
3
you
cards
want-
have to get played. You have to pay a lot of mana, take tempo losses the turns you're playing those cards. But once you actually can, if you can get to that setup, then it's like how do you beat that deck, right? Going into the late game because now they're just doing 3 damage for 0 mana a turn to whatever.
Targeted damage.
3
Yeah.
targeted damage a turn for free.
Yeah.
I'm not
Literally
even-
for free.
I'm not
So,
even excited
yeah.
about this card strictly from a shadow form aspect. I mean, Reno decks traditionally want to go along. I'm not even like having permanent damage from a hero power. It doesn't even excite me that much. I'm fine with it just as the heal, even because the deck will probably whatever deck I come up with is going to be aimed at going along, and even just having a free heal plays to that strategy, and you can still have Alkanai Soul Priest and similar cards to when you want to have damage to turn it on, but then you don't need to keep it that way. Shadow form is strange. I'm still skeptical of it. So
Yeah, well, the other thing too is you're playing 2 of a card in arena deck, which, but
It's risky.
that's already been. People who have played Shadow Priest and Reno decks already were running 2 because you can run generally like 1 copy of, like 2 copies of 1 card, and most of the time draw it before Reno becomes like a viable card. But so like I've heard, I think people in chat are already probably talking about it. Yeah. So the dream is there's that card, the tri-class card, where you can get a Koldara Drake because it's a mage card.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can essentially hero power infinitely.
Yep. Or as many
insta-win.
times as you possibly can in whatever it is, 2 minutes.
The probability of that is so low because you get 1 mage card out of the
And yet,
Discover.
it will happen at some point during the Hearthstone World Championships because this is how this works.
Yeah. But it's 1 mage card, like not even 1 mage spell or 1 mage minion, right? So it's 1 out of whatever it is, like 50 cards or I don't know.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen so little, but it will happen at least once, and we'll see it on Trollden video.
Trollden, yep.
yeah. You will not see it consistently in any normal amount of games as a sample size. But no, it's an awesome dream to have, folks. Not what you should be betting you're going to win most of your games on.
Yeah.
All right. Can we move to Warlock? Let's do it.
Absolutely.
All right. First up for the Warlock, and by the way, not many Warlock cards have been revealed, but first up is a 7-mana common demon called the Abyssal Enforcer. The Abyssal has 6 attacks, 6 health, and a battle cry that reads deal 3 damage to all other characters.
So he's basically got built-in Hellfire.
Yep.
Yeah.
7 mana 6/6 with the Hellfire.
Doesn't hit
So
himself.
really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. You are damaging yourself, but screw it. You're a Warlock. Who cares? Yeah, this card is going to make Warlock quite scary in Arena. You're going to have to play around this card. We'll see if they add the bonus again, because I actually am starting to feel like that bonus in Arena is actually not that healthy, because then you get this like really small pool of cards that make up a huge percentage of gameplay, and it affects balance in Arena in a huge way. Firelands Portal became like this kind of game break. You play around that more than you play around Flamestrike, because they're more likely to have it. But if they do tune it like to their 200% or whatever, there will be so many of these things running around. And it's also a demon, and you can still get free demons and stuff in Arena because it's wild. So Void Callers are still a thing. So yeah, this card is just insane. Warlock has suddenly gone from having to be kind of an aggressive zoo type deck to now having some ability to go late game and win. So yeah, very cool card. Constructed, we'll see. I don't know if you'll be able to play 2 of these. It's really slow, right? So, but you probably play 1 in Arena
I was
Lock.
going to say, do you play it in Reno, though?
Yeah, I think you play 1 in Arena Lock for sure.
I'd put 1 in. I like this
Yeah,
card.
this is 1 more AoE, right? Well, and Warlock's getting another AoE too, but yeah. So it's like Warlock will just have all the AoE when it comes to playing Reno Lock.
Let's take
They'll
a look
still have
at
Hellfire. They'll still have Shadow Flame. They'll still have Twisting Nether. You know what I mean? It's like, what can't they kill? You'll never be able to play anything against them.
Yeah. I'm not trying to cut anyone off. I'm just trying to move it along because I know you're on a bit of a schedule, Dills. And then we've got a Blood Fury Potion, which I somehow missed during the course of reveals in the past. I don't know. I'm not even sure when this was revealed because I just missed it entirely. Haven't seen it until today. And when you started typing into the notes, Joce, I'm like, that sounds like a warrior card. But it's not. It's a Warlock card. It's a 3-mana rare spell, and it reads, give a minion +3 attack. If it's a demon, also give it +3 health. Turn your Abyssal Enforcer into a 9/9.
There you go. Yeah, if you play demons, then this is like a mini Blessing of Kings, right?
Mm-hmm. I feel like this would probably, like you mentioned, Wild Dills. I think that a demon deck in Wild would really benefit from this. I don't necessarily know if it's current standard worthy, but
you're
demon
missing
decks.
Mal'Ganis, you're missing Void Callers,
Yeah.
But in Wild, hell yeah.
In Wild, yeah.
I miss Demon Lock so much.
Go play in Wild, dude.
I know.
It's still a thing.
I know.
Like, Wild is actually really fun these days for me, anyway.
That's what I've been playing.
Like, I'm always hovering around like 17 to 12, and there's all these crazy decks, and I'm playing a crazy deck, and it's just fantastic. But yeah, this will be really cool in my Reno Demon N'Zoth deck. Hell yeah, I'm putting a copy of this in there.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's an archetype I really enjoy, so anything being added to it I am down with. Let's look at Fellfire Potion, which I want to call Wildfire Potion. It's 6-mana rare spell. Yeah, Joce knows where it's at. Game of Thrones represent.
As soon as I saw this, I was like, this is screaming Game of Thrones to me.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a 6-mana rare spell and reads, deal 5 damage to all characters. So if I can't have a board, nobody can, is what this is basically screaming as you throw it on the ground and hurt everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, if you're playing Reno, probably throw one of these in there.
There's a lot of strong AoE in this set.
It is.
A lot of strong AoE coming in Gadgetzan. And like you, Dills, I'm sitting here going, God, I'm glad this isn't common for Arena's sake. And also, I still wish Flame Strike would get bumped up in rarity so we can get a little normalization in how AoE is considered in that format. But
yeah, I mean it's a very cool card. I'm hesitant to say that it's like, again, it's like it goes in Reno, right?
Mm-hmm.
But where
else?
Because
you don't care. Yeah, because you don't care if you're damaging yourself in a Reno deck so much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're playing like Abyssal Enforcer, Fellfire, Hellfire, you're tapping all the time. We don't have Heal Bot anymore. Like there's some problems, right?
Right.
So,
There is a point where, as a Warlock, you go, okay, typically I'm not that concerned about my health pool, but at some point I do become concerned, and I think 5 damage is where you become concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, yeah. It's at a certain point it does get concerning.
I think 4 is the cutoff.
And the thing is with the Reno deck, right? You lose your consistency. You have 30 different cards in your Reno deck, so I think having one of all of these different AOE's is probably fine because you do want to draw into something, right?
Yeah. Like you often won't play all of them unless you.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you go like all the way to Fatigue, and then a Fatigue game, like maybe Elise becomes part of that deck, so that you see the ones you don't need, you turn into legendaries. I don't know. We'll have to kind of see how it plays out, but people will definitely be toying with all of these cards.
Mm-hmm. And I
the
think
Blood Fury Potion probably not in standard, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it comes down to too, like you may be taking 5 damage to yourself, but if you're facing down more than 5 damage on the other side of the board and minions, like not a bad trade-off.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, this is like there's a lot of I mean, this kills all the thing from belows and everything on a shaman board, right? So yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Well, let's look at Sea Devil's Stinger as the final revealed Warlock card so far. So there's quite a few left for Warlocks, 5 still to be revealed. But the Sea Devil's Stinger is a 4-mana rare Murloc with 4 attack, 2 health, and a battle cry that reads, the next Murloc you play this turn costs health instead of mana. So Cho'Gall for Murlocs?
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, Murlocs, when they were played early on, were a Warlock deck. We haven't really seen it happen since then. We're going to have to see some more Murlocs, probably.
I lost to a Murloc, Warlock, and Wild last night on like turn 4. I was trying a really stupid priest deck, just trying to get a play 30 priest class cards done. So it was like all priest cards. And I lost horribly because they were just like flooded the board and murdered my face.
So we've seen Blowgill Sniper, which is a 2-mana deal 1 Murloc, or 2-mana 2/1 deal 1 damage. We've seen Finja the Flying Star.
The best card in the game was what you mean.
Yeah, but I feel like we need to see a couple more Murlocs before this is actually viable. But getting a free Murloc out, that's obviously pretty good.
It's good if you're playing Murloc.
Yeah, and most Murlocs don't cost that much, so I mean you're trading like 2 or 3 health.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we move into tri-class cards and neutrals, let's thank our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC for supporting the Angry Chicken. This is the way that we are funded for the most part. So if you enjoy the Angry Chicken, if you want to support us, check out Patreon. And on this episode, we wanted to thank Chloe C, Carson W, K. Michael W, Gary M, Talar, no last initial given, Diesel, no last initial given, Max Master, and the Mighty Igloo.
Oh, I know that guy.
Oh, do you? I would argue
I'm just saying because
you're north of the wall. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, well, the Mighty Igloo, we'll see how mighty you are when the sun comes out. Probably.
Yeah,
you know
Garrett.
You know that igloos actually can survive a sunny day, right?
They're actually in Florida. They can't. I've seen Frosty the Snowman. That's a documentary.
We'll see what happens when the flamethrower comes out. Then, fine.
Oh man.
Thank you all though very much for supporting the show. We really appreciate it. And there's that. So go check out patreon.com/TAC. Now, let's move on to the tri-class cards for the Cabal. These 3 cards that you can look at right now if you're watching the video version can be played in Mage, Priest, and Warlock decks, but no other class decks. First up is the Cabal Chemist, a 4-mana common minion that has 3 attack, 3 health, and a battle cry that reads, add a random potion to your hand. And look badass while doing it. Some more sweet-ass card art. Jeez, Cabal. Too good. Too good.
The potions are pretty good too, right? They're mostly like AoEs and stuff. So
yeah, because there's not enough AoEs.
You pay 4 for a 3/3, but you get a card. The card's generally okay. I think you'll probably see this in whatever the Reno versions of these decks are for sure. I don't know about 2 of this, but
so these are specifically the potions that we talked about today. So. Any of the and regardless of your class, you might see the Potion of Madness, the priest card as a mage, for example.
Yeah, but think about the Cabal have now introduced, because obviously Warlock already has a good Reno version because obviously Life Tap just plays into what Reno does really well. But now we've added specifically for priest and mage Reno like cards that have that effect built in. So, and here's a card that I think probably goes into all 3. Like if you make that archetype, this goes into all of those. But as a 2-of, probably not, but all 3 of these types of classes will now be playing that, right? So this is a card that will go into all of those, because you get Fellfire, Dragonfire, Volcanic, Blood Fury, Pint Size. I mean, geez, man. They're all pretty good.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the first time we've ever seen, things being generated, whether it's Discover or adding a random X card to your hand? This is the first time we've seen it where it's been parsed basically off of the title of a card, because usually we see it based off of the Tribe it's from, if it's a Murloc or something, or based on the mana cost. I've never seen it where it's just
spare parts, which is the mana cost.
However, spare parts don't actually exist anywhere outside of cards that generate them. You can't just put a spare part in your card. These potions you can just put in your deck. Yeah, which I just find that fascinating from just a game design aspect of Hearthstone. Because please correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but I don't think we've ever seen this before.
I don't think we have either, and that was what I was going to say. Is it's kind of odd that these potion cards don't have some sort of flag on the bottom of them to actually indicate that they are going to be pulled by the chemist. So does Potion of Polymorph, does that count as one? So you can pull a secret off of the chemist? Okay,
it does. It is my understanding. Yeah. So there's 2 options per class as far as we know right now. I mean, there's still classes to be, or there's still class cards to be revealed for all 3 classes we discussed today. But I would be surprised if there was 1 more potion in each class.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's
cool
probably going to
card.
be a 1 in 6 probably.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Well, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potions already.
What's the 7th?
7th?
Potion of Madness, Pint Size, Dragonfire,
you're right.
Volcanic Potion, Potion of Polymorph, Blood Fury Potion,
You're right.
Fellfire Potion.
You're absolutely right. I apologize. I misspoke. So maybe
There's 3 from Priest because there's
Right.
Pint Size, Dragonfire, and Potion of Madness.
So how much do we
Which
think
then,
that-
yeah, maybe we're going to get 3 for each class because we haven't seen everything from any of them. So
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah,
there's
it's still possible we see 3 potions in each class. That would make sense.
Yeah, there's 3 mage cards that still need to be revealed, 2 priest cards that still need to be revealed, and 5 warlock cards. One of them is the legendary, and I think we can safely assume we will not get a legendary potion.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, okay. So I think it would be safe to put money on us getting 3 potions per Cabal class.
Yes.
So let me retract everything I said moments prior. All right, let's talk about Cabal Courier. This is a 3-mana rare minion, has 2 attack, 2 health, and a battle cry that reads, discover a mage, priest, or warlock card.
Yep. Again, it's probably just a one of in those Reno type versions. Because you don't want to be paying 3 mana for 2/2s too many times in a game, you know.
Yeah, it's
but it's good. It's going to be good when you play it in that type of deck, I think. Because we see in Reno decks currently people have toyed around with scarabs and all kinds of stuff where you pay extra to just get a card. So a deck that wants to go late, a deck that doesn't mind an early tempo loss, will be totally fine with this card because you'll be able to regain that tempo on some later turn.
I agree.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I have another quick potion question. The however many possible potions you can get off of Kazakus, do they count from the chemist?
Not according to the wiki entry for
Okay.
Cabal Chemist.
Yeah, because those
So
are
they did
potions you only
clarify.
create that moment. They don't exist as a card yet, right?
Yeah. Okay. I just, like I say, I find not flagging the potions as potions odd.
And actually,
And I guess
the only things that are considered that like have the word potion that we know of with Kazakus is the first thing you pick, which is the lesser potion, a greater potion, or a superior potion. Now that would be insane because those then trigger the potion creation
the
process.
discover, yeah.
But I have a feeling Blizzard would have informed us of that.
Yeah.
With Cabal Chemist, if that were the case, because everything else are ingredients. You have your plants from Warcraft, you have Mojo, you have oils, Ichor,
Yes, true.
all that stuff. Ichor. however
Midnight
you pronounce
Bomber in chat asks for this card that we were talking about. Do you get to choose which class you discover from? You get 1 from each class. So you get 1 mage, 1 priest, and 1 warlock card, and you choose from those 3.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how all of the tri-class cards work.
Which-
All the class discover cards, yes.
Yep. Because we love to discover too much because it brought a wonderful, understandable range to randomness. So why not throw that all out the window and give you such a massive range that you have no idea how to counterplay?
Yeah.
I'm mildly concerned about these cards. I'm going to be salty when I lose to them. I don't think they're going to be consistent, but I will be salty when I lose to them.
I feel like the cards are weak enough that it's going to be fine. So, like, a guy's playing a 3-minute 2/2 that doesn't do anything to the board the turn it's played. Yes, they get a card that you don't know what it is, but I'd still kind of rather I know they probably discovered something that maybe pertains to the current game state than babbling book and just see what happens, right? Like, those cards already exist, so this is, like, less to me than that.
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
think.
Fair enough. All right, let's look at Kazakus finally. He was actually shown at BlizzCon, so we've known about Kazakus for quite a while now. But he is the 4-mana legendary minion that has 3 attack, 3 health, and has a battle cry that reads: if your deck has no duplicates, create a custom spell. And this is what we were just discussing. So when this happens, you basically make 3 decisions. The first decision is which potion you want to create, and you have your option of the of lesser potion, which creates a 1-cost spell, greater potion, which creates a 5-cost spell, or a superior potion, which creates a 10-cost spell, and that will also be the cost of the spell when you're finished. So if you choose lesser potion, you will create a 1, as it says. And then it's based off of, then you get 2 more selections, right? Or 3 more.
Two more.
2 more selections that are kind of randomly given to you, these options of 11 that we know of potential ingredients. So Gold Thorn, which gives your minions either, +2, +4, +6 health. And that increase in health and everything else that's happening here is based on whether it's lesser, greater, or superior. And I'm not going to run through them all because there's a lot, guys. But
there's a lot. Yeah.
There's damaging minions.
Here's what we kind of do know, though. So we know that you'll get one option, and then the second time you won't get that same option again. So you won't get Gold Thorn twice, because Gold Thorn does the same thing twice, and that wouldn't make sense. You'd be doubling up, right? And then apparently, here's the other thing. It kind of smart casts it or smart offers it. So it gives it to you in an order where, let's say you're adding health to minions, it would add the health then damage or something like that. Add health to your minions and deal damage, rather than deal damage to all the minions then add the health. Yeah. So there are going to be certain things where they always go in an order.
Yeah, because Fellbloom, for example, deals damage to all minions, not just enemy minions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it wouldn't give it to you, deal damage to all minions, then add some health to the minions that you just killed on your side of the board, right? So there's certain things where it just kind of goes in an order. So you'll never get those in the other order. They'll always kind of be in that particular order, if that makes sense.
I'll allow
Which lowers the total amount of possibilities by a significant amount.
Yeah, I will allow it, though, because I would assume Kazakus is a master alchemist, and he would know the proper order to mix things in.
Yeah. Or summon a demon, then deal damage to all the minions like that. Makes 0 sense. So,
Yeah. So it's intelligently designed, let's put it that way. But there's a lot of different things you can do. You can summon demons. You can damage all minions, like we mentioned. You can freeze random minions. You can draw cards. There's one of my favorites is Mystic Wool, which transforms a random minion / all minions into a 1/1 sheep.
So I think that's the difference between a 5 mana or a 10 mana spell.
Yeah, there's not a 1 mana version of that.
Yeah, there is no 1 mana version of Mystic Wool.
Yeah.
So
Mystic Wool is only 5 or 10. Yeah. So that's another one where it's there's weird amounts of this. You can't. We were trying to figure out the odds earlier. You got to know all the implications going on here. So.
Yeah.
But Hearthstone they said at BlizzCon there are more than 100 potential potions that you can create with him. So,
and there's unique art for all of this. Whoever got the contract for the Kazakus potions, I hope they paid you well, and I hope they gave you enough lead time.
I'm just impressed with whoever came up with this concept and then pushed it through.
Yeah.
Because when he came up with the idea, they were probably like, oh, God, that sounds so friggin' hard.
I don't know if they actually said during the Q&A who it was that came up with the idea, but Yongwu basically said, someone came up to him and said, what if we just let the players make their own spells? And he was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It sounds incredible, and then you see what they actually came up with, and this is a really, really cool concept. I cannot wait to play with this card.
Yeah.
Time will tell if this is actually good or not, but it's definitely one of the first cards I think a ton of people are going to start playing with day one, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You'll see a ton of Kazakus decks. Right away.
And I believe we actually talked about it on the Angry Instance BlizzCon episode, although we might not have. It might have been conversations before or after. But basically, the reason I like Kazakus so much is that it almost is a bit of a punishment to net decking, because you can see a deck that has included Kazakus, but because he's so situational and there are so many choices to be made, I think he has a really, really high learning curve. It's going to be hard to know exactly what to do to make him super effective. So I think that's going to mean that there are going to be good Kazakus players and, the kind of lesser and more mediocre Kazakus players and people who don't necessarily know what to do with him when they have him in hand, So I think this is
Yeah,
a great
agree.
addition to the game, just from a skill level standpoint.
It's the same
Once
reason
you get to know all the effects too, you'll be playing him in specific situations, trying to get a certain combination of effects. You know.
Mm-hmm.
The other, yeah. People were talking about brand Kazakus. So you brand, then you Kazakus, then you make one, then you make another, right? So
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Hope you're
I'm
quick at
into
making
that.
decisions. Kazakus, the bringer of rope.
Do not wait till the rope hits before you brand Kazakus. Make sure
Yeah.
you brand Kazakus right away. If that's
Right
the
away.
play.
It's fantastic, and I can't wait to see the people who print out playable Hearthstone decks, how the hell they figure out how to replicate Kazakus. All right, break out your sealed pack of possible spells for Kazakus, tear it open, and then make one from that. All right. Let's bring it home and look at the Kabal-ish neutrals. These are cards we have deemed Kabal-ish. You may not agree with us, but we agree with us. Backstreet Leper is up first. This is a common neutral minion, has 3 attack, 1 health, and reads Death Rattle, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero.
He looks so fabulous that he could
yeah.
totally be in the Leper Gnome Backstreet Boys. Just saying.
Yes.
He's a terrible card though.
No, he is.
But he looks fabulous.
It's a
Come
really,
on.
really bad card. This is this is the first time I think ever where I've been sad that a card's been so bad just because I like the art so much. I really dig the artwork on Backstreet Leper. He looks so happy to be evil.
Yep.
And but yeah, 3/1 for 3 that deals 2 damage to the enemy hero when you kill it. Yeah, that's not that great.
No.
Not that great at all. But let's look at Kooky Chemist, because the Kooky Chemist is a 4-mana common minion with 4 attack, 4 health, and battle cry that reads, swap the attack and health of a minion. So he's just him and the Crazy Alchemist. They go out on weekends. They get drinks. They're probably,
Yep.
They probably
Another
mix
version
around.
of that. The rub on this guy though, because I think if you want this effect in your deck, you probably want to pay 2 for it, not 4, because it allows you to then combo it with other stuff. So when you pay 4 for it, it takes up most of your turn, right? So yes, you play the 4/4, but if swapping the health and attack of a minion is something important to you, you probably also have a reason you're doing that, right?
Mhm.
Which is to then be able to, shadow or death it or whatever, or kill a Doomsayer, play a Doomsayer, and then you can't play this plus another thing or whatever. It's more effective as a 2-mana card.
Yeah,
And the effect is still the exact same.
I agree. The only thing that does make me excited about this card is the arena implications that we just have one more card with the effect of Crazed Alchemist. So if I do get some minions where I would benefit from swapping their attack and health, there's one more potential card that may show up in my pool, which is cool.
He's definitely going to get play in arena for sure. Because the effect will come into play. It's actually a pretty cool effect in a lot of cases. So
Yeah.
One more way to do it, plus a 4/4 for 4 is not completely terrible. So
Yeah, it's just slow for constructed. Let's look at Mistress of Mixtures, which is a 1-mana common minion with 2 attack, 2 health, and a death rattle that reads, restore 4 health to both players. She does not look like she'd be healing anyone. Can I just put that out there? She looks very mischievous.
Yeah, but she's got that goldy kind of glowy potion, so it kind of makes sense that if anything was going to
She's
heal
got
me,
one
I
for
would
you,
think
one
it would
for
be
me.
the light. Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
apparently purple and yellow potions both do the same thing, which is restore health. But hey, it's a really cool anti-aggro card. It's a 1-mana 2/2. Remember Enchanted Raven? We were like, oh, 1-mana 2/2. This is a neutral version of that. So yeah. If 1-mana 2/2s are effective, then you'll see this card get played. Plus, restoring health is another way to get some healing in for your control
If
late
you're
game
controlling,
style
yeah.
decks. Yeah.
Yep. And then we have rounding out the Kabalish commons for the neutral minions is the Toxic Sewer Ooze, which is a 3-mana common, has 4 attack, 3 health, and a battle cry that reads, remove 1 durability from your opponent's weapon.
I think this is an arena card, I think. If you really want to destroy weapons, you probably still stick with Harrison or Ooze in constructed play. But in arena play, it's a common. It's a 3-mana 4/3. It's more anti-weapon tech. This will be a good pick in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
So.
It's good stats for the mana cost, has an effect that can only be beneficial to you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's
Totally
interesting
fine,
though,
yeah.
right? Like it's interesting. I like this idea of it's not really side creep. It's kind of like this horizontal. It's just playing on the our meta understanding of characters from Hearthstone. You know, in this case, the Acidic Swamp Ooze, it costs 1 more mana, it has 1 more attack, it has 1 more health, but its battle cry is actually kind of less effective.
Yeah, in most cases it's the same almost, because most of the time people have attacked with a 2 durability weapon. But there are going to be now some weapons like Fool's Bane. It's only going to kill one durability, right, and not the whole thing. So, yeah, I think it's a perfectly fine card. We'll definitely see lots of arena play, but you need to kill the whole weapon in constructed. So,
yeah.
Yep. I like the idea of just someone getting ooze all over their weapon and going, ugh, and like not wanting to play it, like, or wanting to swing it one less time. It's just because, I just want to drop it because, ooze.
Let him not the only one with the absurd lore references. Doppelgangster is our only neutral rare to talk about today. It is a 5 mana, 5 mana rare, 2 attack, 2 health, and a battle cry that reads: summon 2 copies of this minion. So you get 3 2/2s for 5 mana.
So, force of nature for everybody?
I was just going to say, this reminds me of trees.
Pretty much. If you want to play some sort of tokeny deck, that's pretty cool. But force of nature doesn't really see play in Druid, so I doubt you will see this very much. Yeah. Maybe somewhere out there's something. Maybe you play your Sword of Justice Doppelgangster deck and you laugh and think you're hilarious, but probably not much of that going around.
Yeah, that being said, now because this doesn't say exact copies, I'm assuming if I put this in my my Goons deck and landed some buffs on it in my hand, that only the one copy
the first
played
one
would
buff,
have the buff, and then it would just summon 2 2/2s.
But I don't know. I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
We'll have to see.
The in-hand buffs are interesting in that way, is that, we've never seen in-hand buffs before, so how it interacts with other things on the board and card text and everything else is a little bit up in the air right now. But if this could carry through the buff to multiple minions, then I think this definitely...
I don't see it say, like, summon 2 doppelgangsters or 2 I mean, it could be. It could work that way, where if you buff it, it's bigger. I don't know.
Which in that
I haven't
case,
seen it used yet.
If you have like 5 mana, even for 3 3/3s or 3 4/4s, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if Hearthstone was consistent enough that we didn't have to have this question?
Yeah. Well, like Echoing Ooze, it happened not. It wasn't it was still considered a battle cry, but it worked differently because it happened at the end of the turn, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it does read exact copy on Echoing Ooze. Yeah. And my favorite thing is that the thing that is throwing the chat room into the biggest fervor right now is that we put this under Cabal and not Grimy Goons. He's half purple with glowing yellow eyes. He's clearly a Cabal agent infiltrating the Grimy Goons. Come on, guys.
I mean, he's using a gun, though. That's probably Grimy Goonish. But,
because he's infiltrating the Grimy Goons.
Sure, yes.
Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But yeah, I would assume, because it doesn't say exact, that only the first copy actually has the buffs if you play it in a Goons deck. But we'll see. We'll see when it actually comes out. And then finally, rounding out today's episode, is the Fell Orc Soul Fiend. This is a 3-mana epic minion with 3 attack, 7 health, and it reads: at the start of your turn, deal 2 damage to this minion.
Injured Blade Master.
Yeah, but not quite, because once you re-heal Injured Blade Master, he never takes damage again. This one continues to take damage.
I was thinking Battle Cry, but yeah.
Yeah, this is like a persistent effect. So
and this
I saw a lot of people talking about that, like, oh, Res Priest, but you're like, well, but then you res it and then it still comes out and it continues to take damage. And so unless you like purify it, then it's not quite a 1-to-1 with Injured Blade Master, but they do.
And it would take 2 turns to get down to the 4 damage that the Blade Master deals to
takes
itself.
2 turns there, yes.
And it has 1 less attack than the Blade Master. I mean, it's not. Yes. It's definitely not a clean comparison.
No, not. But I mean, it's the closest thing like that we really. I mean, you got the Injured Cavaldeer as well, but as far as like minions that damage themselves, one kind of cool thing though is like maybe you could play this with in a warrior deck where you have Frothing Berserkers, right? And then every turn you're buffing your Frothing Berserker. I don't know. That's kind of reaching, but
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, or your armor smith, gain
I
some
mean, it
armor
happens
off
at
of
the
it.
start of your turn, right? So the turn you play it, it's a 3/7. They have to remove a 3/7 if they really want to get rid of it. Then at
Yeah.
the start of the next turn, it happens. So I don't know. It's an interesting card, and we'll have to see how
Silence Priest.
how people start to utilize it. But people will try to make this a thing, I think.
Yeah. I don't know.
A
Silence
3-mana
Priest is the only thing I can
3/5
think
is
of.
actually really good, though, if that's what lives, right? Then you have to heal it back to then have it deal damage again to itself. So, it's not quite just a 3-mana 3/5 either. It's its own thing. It's its own creation.
I'm playing it with Purify. That's
Sure.
all I know. I'm playing it with Purify. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for the Cabal cards that have been revealed so far, which also means we are at the end of the 182nd episode of the show. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you to our patrons at patreon.com/TAC for supporting us. Thank you to harrys.com for sponsoring the episode. Use the code TAC at checkout. So in addition to your free trial set, you will get the post-shave bomb. And hey, if you listen on iTunes, keep those reviews coming. We really appreciate them. We're up to 808 iTunes reviews, I believe. So, at some point we're going to hit 1,000 and I'm going to do a little dance. And thank you to this week to Pirate Pastor, Blee Frufla, who apparently just really wanted to entertain my mouth movements. Bombo, who said, I wish we lived in a world where attack was on 24/7. I'm flattered, but I don't.
Yeah, we need
Don't
sleep,
live in a hard
world to
dude.
live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, are you that interested in which side I sleep on? And then,
Oh, Garrett, you don't want to know the answer to that question.
no, I didn't want to know the answer to Dash Ramos, the final 5-star review we need to thank this week, who apparently had some super weird fantasies about me and Dills.
I have to go read that
Yeah.
fanfic
I'm
now.
not reading it.
Really?
Just go look it up. I'm not reading it on the air. But it was
It might be a copy pasta, though. There's a lot of these copy pastas running around.
It could be, but it was highly entertaining and highly inappropriate for anyone with children listening, so I will not read about it here. But
I'm sure they appreciate it.
thank you for the iTunes reviews. As always, check out amove.tv for the entire back catalog of the Angry Chicken. Also, check out the Angry Chicken Brawl. We did just put out our Heroic Tavern Brawl episode. You can find it wherever podcasts can be found, except Stitcher, or at youtube.com/amovetv. Thanks to our Patreon producers, Declan H. and Peter Williams. We have tons of swag available. The shirt site is back up. Go to shirts.amove.tv for Angry Chicken t-shirts. And if you want Angry Chicken glasses, mugs, wine glasses, stuff like that, go to etched.amove.tv. They're custom etched glasses, some fantastic stuff over there. You can follow the show on Twitter at TAC Podcast, and you can catch us live every Tuesday night at 4 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv. Dills, where can folks find your work?
Check me out on Twitter at Willie Dills and twitch.tv/WillieDillsSF. There is going to be a little bit of a... We're going to have to figure out stream schedules this week around family being in town. I'm actually about to leave right now and go see people. And I saw people last night. So, we'll see. Bear with me. I know everybody's probably also busy, but every moment I can do a stream where I'm not podcasting or hanging out with family, I will be doing a stream. So you might see some early morning streams or something like that, just trying to fit things in. So bear with me through that, and then next week we'll back to our normal schedule.
Fantastic. Jocelyn, how about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. You can also find links to everything I do at jossplays.com, including The Gamers In, which is my weekly general gaming podcast, which you can find right here on twitch.tv/amovetv every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. You can find me on Twitter at Garrett Art. Everything else is on amove.tv. Joss and I just put out a new episode of For Azeroth, where we talked about a bunch of WoW stuff, including the fall of the Titans lore, which I enjoyed. Got schooled, even though I had already read about it. I learned some things. That was fun. Other than that, it is Thanksgiving this week, so happy Thanksgiving to everyone who celebrates it, to all of our American cluckers out there. And so that means no Brawl episode this week, by the way. So if it is a new Brawl, which I would be pleasantly surprised if it was, because typically we see repeats on weeks when there's big American holidays. But if there is a new Brawl, sadly we won't be able to cover it because we will be engorging our faces with our families while we try not to talk about religion and politics, especially this year. So that's going to do it. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. And until next time, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Uh-huh.
done.
No!
It's so Jocelyn is just like, no, that's not the thing.
I know, it's so disappointing. I feel like now I have to think of something that is like some like crazy twist on jobs done to make you snap back into yes.
We'll see. We'll see.
I just want you to
When
say
you
yes
least
still.
expect it, the yes will come back.
Ugh.
Be exciting, right?
Yes, yes is supposed to happen when we all say job's done. Which means you should actually be doing stuff like that when we have guests on who don't get into the role. That's when you should just
Okay,
be
I
like,
guess that's true.
Uh-huh. Then it would be something Hearthstone is not, which is consistent. Oh, smack talk.
All right, I gotta go, guys. I
See ya.
got people I gotta go see. So, good show. Peace out.